making the long trek to WTHR here, downtown Indianapolis, going into year 3 for you here in the WNBA. Kind of crazy. Is that crazy?
It's kind of crazy to think how fast time is going. I was actually just saying that, like, I can't believe this is my 3rd year.
Did Aliyah Boston just take a subtle jab at her former coach while praising new head coach Stephanie White? In a recent interview, Boston couldn't stop raving about White's strong communication skills and smart in-game adjustments. Precisely the areas where many felt Christie's sides fell short last season.
Okay, now we come out, we have to be ready to compete, but we also know that, listen, if things aren't going our way, then we have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust.
Boston recalled what it was like facing Stephanie White's Connecticut Sun, describing how White's in-game adjustments constantly kept the Fever off balance. Now that White is coaching Indiana, Boston's excitement is clear, and her comments suggest just how significant this coaching upgrade could be for Caitlin Clark and the entire roster. If you're hyped for this new era, drop A, B, and CC in the comments. Let's go.
Off season for you. There's a lot going on with the team, a lot going on with the WNBA, women's sports in general. How was the off season for you?
Off season was great. I was able to participate on Rivals, so I was super excited about that, and kind of just looking at our team in general, all the changes we've made. It has been a lot. It's been super fast, but I think they've all just been super exciting moves for us, and I'm excited to get the season started because I think we have so much.
When Aliyah Boston started talking about the Fever's off-season moves, her face lit up. She wasn't just pleased, she was genuinely thrilled with what the front office pulled off. Describing the team's additions as super exciting, her enthusiasm was unmistakable, a stark contrast to the frustration and fatigue we saw during last season's struggles.
You mentioned it right there. It felt like there was 1 week, maybe a month, maybe more ago, that it was just like bang, bang, bang. Someone else new coming to the team via trade, via free agency. All really valuable pieces. Winning experience with those additions as well. What do you make of the newcomers on this team and how everyone will gel together after such a promising year last year?
Boston didn't hold back when breaking down what the new additions bring to Indiana. The influx of experienced players completely shifts the dynamic of this young Fever roster. Last season, the team leaned heavily on rising stars like herself, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell to carry the weight. Now, with proven veterans in the mix, players who know what it takes to win, Boston sees a major step forward. And coming from a championship culture at South Carolina, she clearly knows the value of that experience.
Look at who we brought in and who is still here. I think what really helps us and excites us the most is that we win. We win a lot. Coming from winning programs just in general, and being able to put this together, I think it's going to be super exciting. Like, every time we get on the court and we're practicing or if we're playing pickup, we're like, I can't wait to get the season started. Like, we are going to just play.
What stood out most was how Boston's language has completely shifted. Last year, she spoke about potential, about what the Fever might become someday. Now, she's talking about expectations. That subtle change says everything. She's not hoping they'll win anymore. She expects it, and that's a huge mental shift for a franchise that spent years stuck in rebuild mode.
Many different options on the floor, anyone coming off the bench, just being ready to be that heavy hitter and make an impact.
Yeah, deep team, right?
Yes.
Too, it feels like no lineup, there's no drop off.
Boston specifically pointed to the offensive flexibility the new roster brings, saying, so many different options on the floor. Her excitement was obvious, and for good reason. Last season, the Fever often looked one-dimensional. When defenses keyed in on Clark, Boston, or Mitchell, the team struggled to generate consistent scoring elsewhere. But with these new additions, that frustration may finally be behind them.
Excited are you for the Fever just this season and as far as your team is concerned, but just to carry that momentum forward as people continue to realize how high level women's basketball is, women's sports are, and just the excitement around this season and the WNBA in general.
The most surprising moment in Boston's interview. Her use of the word formidable to describe what the Fever can become. That's a term she never used last season, not even during their late playoff push. It signals a complete shift in mindset. This team isn't just aiming to compete anymore, they want to dominate. We want to win every single night, Boston emphasized again and again. Gone is the language of development and patience. Now it's all about results, and that shift reflects Boston's own growth as a leader, no longer content with moral. victories. She's demanding real wins from herself and everyone around her.
Yeah, we're gonna ride the momentum. We're gonna ride the wave. I think there's no way you don't. You know, there's so much eyes, there's so much energy, there's so much attention. It's like every time you step on that floor, you want to play your best because you know there's so many people watching. And it's not just for you; it's for the little kids that continue to dream of being where you are and be like, oh my gosh, they're my favorite players. And the fans that continue to watch, like you want to continue to show them, like, listen, we come out here, we compete not just for ourselves, but for you guys because you guys pour so much attention, so much love on this Fever squad, and so we just have to be ready to compete every day.
Dana Bonner echoed Boston's enthusiasm, emphasizing that the Fever can now be a threat at every level of the court. With Boston dominating the post, Clark stretching defenses from the perimeter, and a deeper bench of scoring options. Opposing Ayol coaches are going to have a tough time game planning for this squad. But while Boston was clearly energized by the new roster, her most revealing comments came when discussing the coaching change. The shift in her tone when talking about Stephanie White, compared to her former coach, spoke volumes. It was clear the players see this as a major upgrade on the sidelines.
Part of the newness of this season, and it feels like it's kind of hitting a crescendo, right, as we are only a month away. But head coach Stephanie White, new to town, not really new to town, new maybe for you, but what has that relationship been like in kind of the Stephanie White regime here going forward?
When Aliyah Boston talks about Stephanie White, there's an unmistakable shift in her tone, genuine excitement that was noticeably absent when she spoke about coaching last season. What makes Boston's perspective especially compelling is her first-hand experience facing White's Connecticut son. She's seen up close what White brings to a team, and now she gets to play for her.
It's been great. I think Steph has just done a great job ever since she got the job of just communicating. I remember within the first few weeks that she had the job, we were watching film about how she wanted me to be able to play, what she thinks of the team, what she wants our goal to be once the season starts, where we want to end. And I think for me that's super important because even though it feels like I've been in the league for quite some time, you know, this is only my third year, and being able to learn from a coach that you've been able to see, especially being able to play against her and seeing the way that she coaches, the way that she makes adjustments, is super exciting for me.
Boston couldn't stop praising White's communication skills, and it feels like a key point. We have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust, right? Boston said, her enthusiasm clear. Communication was one of the biggest critiques of Aliyah, Christy Side's coaching last season. Remember those timeouts when players looked confused about assignments? Or the late game situations where the team seemed directionless? Boston's focus on White's communication suggests those issues are a thing of the past.
Talked about going against her in the probably most important series of your career,
Yep.
right, in the first round last season. What did you take away from going up against her? That maybe you're like, oh great, she's on my side now, and we can use this to our advantage.
Yeah, when we played against Connecticut, Steph, her adjustments, the way she started off the game, I remember there were times where we were playing, I was like, did they mean to do this? And then you come back again the second possession, and they really did mean to do that. And it's something that we didn't think about, and coming in, it's like, okay, well, now we have to adjust.
The tactical side is just as crucial to Boston. She specifically recalled facing White's Sun team, highlighting how White's in-game adjustments consistently gave the Fever trouble. When we played against Connecticut, her adjustments, the way she started off the game, they always brought something new to the table, Boston explained. This is basketball player code for we were out-coached in those matchups.
Played you guys 3-4 times, now we're going to the playoffs, and they still bring something new to the table. So to be on that side, it's super exciting because I think once again we have so much talent on our squad. We're going to be going up against all these teams that in the offseason also made adjustments, also have just great, talented, flat-out hoopers. So it's like, okay, now we come out, we have to be ready to compete, but we also know that, listen, if things aren't going our way, then we have a coach at the helm who knows.
You could see Boston's body language change entirely when she talked about how White will help them adapt against other talented teams. She sat up straighter, her gestures became more animated, and her voice grew more confident. It was the kind of reaction you get from someone who believes they've found the solution to a persistent problem.
Unity. I think that was the biggest thing. You know, we talked about it earlier, even in this, is the outside noise. And so for her, it's about sticking together, making sure that we are a tight unit, that nothing can poke holes in between what we have going, because that's one way to go down, and we don't want to go down.
Boston pinpointed exactly what was missing from coach Christy Sides' approach last season by emphasizing how valuable White's communication and tactical adjustments will be. In doing so, she's highlighting what the Fever lacked: Think back to those games when the team struggled to counter opposing defenses, keyed in on Clark, or when they couldn't adjust to defensive breakdowns. Boston's comments suggest she believes White would have handled those situations differently. For Boston, having White on their side now represents a major competitive upgrade. Last season, she often appeared frustrated when the team couldn't adjust in critical moments. Now, she sees White's strategic mind as a strength, one that she no longer has to face as an opponent.
Just by how we operate with each other off the court, how we are on the court, I think being able to be selfless is another thing that we talked about in the team meetings, like giving up a good shot for a great shot. And I think that's just super important because when you get in games, you never know when your number is going to be called to hit that big shot, and being able to trust each other to be able to do it is going to be important.
This coaching change resonates deeply with Boston because it taps into the championship mentality she developed at South Carolina under Don Staley. There, she experienced elite coaching that maximized player talents through clear communication and tactical brilliance. White's WNBA championship experience as a coach mirrors the qualities Boston values from her college days. With these new players, and now a coach who shares her high expectations, Boston clearly believes the Fever's identity is transforming right before our eyes. No longer content to be the young team with potential, Boston sees a squad ready to contend for real. The days of the Fever being considered underdogs are fading, and Boston couldn't be more excited for this new chapter.
There's so much talent on this team. There's so much excitement revolving around this. The new additions, the core, you, Caitlin, Kelsey, getting Kelsey back, that's obviously huge for this group. What is it, you kind of were the hunters last year. You were young, you're exciting, and really ended the season on a high note. Do you feel that transition, or is it too early to say that you're maybe the hunted at this point? Is there still a lot to prove with this group? What's the goal going in? What do you want to see, the expectations, everything like that, with all the talent that you keep?
There's something different about Aliyah Boston this offseason. When she talks about the Fever's upcoming season, she's no longer focused on development or potential. Now, it's all about winning. Period. This marks a complete identity shift for a team that spent years rebuilding, and Boston knows it.
I think our expectations to win. That is it, flat out. I think every single time we play, every time we step on the floor, people are going to want to beat the Fever. And I know last year it didn't start off that way for us, but as you said, halfway through the season, that switch was flipped. And it was like you didn't want to see us on your schedule. And I think we're going to take that momentum going.
That simple statement says everything about how the Fever see themselves now. They're no longer content just competing. They expect to win. This is the mindset of a contender, not an underdog.
Excited. I think having a fresh start in a sense has been really great for us. I think just being able to practice and work out the way that we have been, I think it really shows what we're capable of, and so I'm excited to get started.
The most fascinating part of this transformation is watching Boston embrace the target that comes with it. Last year, the Fever could sneak up on teams, but this season, opponents will circle Indiana on their calendars, especially with the AD upgraded roster and coaching staff. Boston seems to relish this new reality, rather than shy away from it. When discussing the team's returning core, she emphasized the importance of continuity alongside the new additions. We have Kelsey, Caitlin, myself, Lexi, and Dee Dee, all coming back. These names, Mitchell, Hull, Boston, Clark, and Dantis, form the foundation that showed flashes of brilliance last season. Now, with reinforcements arriving, Boston sees a complete team coming together.
Going to be keeping this the main thing. For us, it's about winning, making sure that we continue to protect our locker room and don't let outside noise get in. And I think last year was a great start to that, and to be able to do it this year, I feel like we already know what's to come.
What's particularly telling is Boston's awareness of the increased spotlight. She specifically mentioned the need to protect our locker room and don't let outside noise get in. This reveals her understanding that with Caitlin Clark and the rising expectations, the Fever are about to face a level of attention they haven't seen in years. Managing that attention while staying focused on winning is a new challenge, one that Boston clearly knows will be crucial for their success.
Each other off the court, how we are on the court. I think being able to be selfless is another thing that we talked about in the team meetings, like giving up a good shot for a great shot. And I think that's just super important because when you get in games, you never know when your number is going to be called to hit that big shot, and being able to trust each other to be able to do it is going to be important for us.
Boston also pointed out her personal adjustment to playing with Caitlin Clark's up-tempo style. I feel like one of the biggest things in that area was just getting to know and getting to play with Caitlin. this willingness to adapt her game highlights Boston's commitment to team success over personal comfort, exactly the mindset a team needs when transitioning from a rebuild to contender status.
Things in that area was just getting to know and getting to play with Caitlin. I think Caitlin plays such a fast-paced game, and for me, I feel like the year before that, it wasn't as fast, and then coming in kind of having that same expectation of the way that we played the year before, and then coming in and Caitlin loves to play really fast, so I think that was definitely the adjustment. But I mean, I think knowing that and having that mindset just helped in the offseason because I know
The most revealing comment about the Fever's new identity came when Boston explained how opponents will view them. Everyone's going to come out and know that it's not just going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be something they don't have to prepare for. It's going to be like, okay, we know they have killers from every angle, so how do we stop that? That's not how teams talk about rebuilding squads. That's how they describe threats. Boston also ties the Fever's rise to the broader momentum of women's basketball. We're going to ride the momentum, we're going to ride the wave, she said, recognizing that the Fever aren't improving in isolation. They're part of a larger movement. With the All-Star game coming to Indianapolis, Boston sees another opportunity for the team. All of this points to Boston's personal growth aligning with the team's evolution, making her third-year development even more exciting to watch.
With the momentum of not only the WNBA at large, but the All-Star game, I feel like so many eyes were on it last season.
I think it's going to be, the energy is going to be so much higher because it's an Indy. I feel like I say this every time about the fans that support women's basketball, that support sports in general, the attention that the Fever has been getting. I think no one wants to pass up a chance to see all the best athletes playing against each other in the same place. You know, sometimes it's hard for other people to be able to travel and catch other games of their favorite players, but to have it right here in your backyard, I think it's going to be truly.
While Boston is excited about the team's transformation, she's equally focused on her own growth as she enters year 3. The mental side of her game has undergone a massive shift, largely thanks to her participation in Unrivaled. This experience wasn't just about showcasing her talents, it fundamentally changed how she approaches the game of basketball.
3 for you, and you mentioned it feels like, I don't know which it feels like. You've been in the league for a while, or it's still only just 3 years, right? You've been a star. You've really had success in your young career. Where have you seen the most growth going into year 3? Do the off seasons get more valuable as you go forward in your career? Like on and off the court, where have you experienced the most growth heading into the season?
Boston openly discussed the confidence boost she gained, allowing her to trust her abilities in a way she hadn't before. You can see this evolution when watching her recent games compared to her rookie season. The hesitation is gone. She's no longer second-guessing shots or passing up opportunities. There's a newfound certainty in her movements that wasn't consistently there before.
I've experienced most growth being able to play in Unrivaled. I think has just boosted my confidence a little bit, not really second-guessing myself on shots that I know I can make, and just being confident and knowing like it's okay if you miss one, you can still take the next one with the same level of confidence. And so that's kind of my mindset going into the season, is just continue to be confident and trust my game because of the work and effort that I put into it.
This mental growth comes at the perfect time for a player who must balance dual roles. Boston is simultaneously a developing young star and a team leader carrying championship expectations. It's an incredibly difficult tightrope to walk, too. Much focus on personal development can seem selfish, while too much focus on leadership can stunt individual growth. Boston seems to have found that balance. Her conversations with Dana Evans highlight another aspect of her evolution. Evans told Boston that her play would be super important for the team's success. Rather than shrinking from that responsibility, Boston embraces it. She understands her role as the anchor in the paint while Clark controls the perimeter. This partnership gives the Fever a devastating inside-outside threat that few teams can match.
I feel like it's always been the same. For me, it's about being who I am, not changing who I am, and I think people are able to just I attract just that great energy, I think, and not bragging on myself, but I feel like just because the way that I approach everyone, I always want to make sure everyone's smiling. And I feel like when that's your approach, make sure that everyone's good, it's so easy to build that relationship because you just get comfortable with each other really quickly.
Boston's excitement about sold-out crowds reveals her understanding of how fan energy impacts on-court performance. She doesn't view passionate fans as pressure, she sees them as fuel. This perspective will prove invaluable as expectations rise and scrutiny intensifies for the Fever. The most significant growth in Boston's game: her mental consistency. She's developed the confidence to trust her abilities, even through the struggles every player faces, shooting slumps and tough matchups. But Boston's new mentality allows her to remain effective even when things aren't going perfectly. That reliability is what separates good players from great ones.
Aliyah, I saw that the team made a promotional film at Madam Walker Theater on
Yes.
Indiana Avenue. What's that mean in terms of significance with the Fever aligning with that historic site?
Yeah, I think it's special. Not only like you think of everyone that support the Fever, but being able to tie in that to a historic site like that, I think is super special. And it just once again shows the bond that between sports and women's sports and the whole city of Indiana is really capable.
Boston's connection to Indianapolis extends beyond basketball. Her comments about the team's promotional film at the Madam Walker Theater show that she's embracing the city's culture and history. I'm just going to be ready to be a part of it. Every change that comes, I'll be ready and I'll be excited for it, she said. This community connection matters for a franchise looking to rebuild its identity. Boston's personal evolution mirrors the Fever's transformation perfectly. Both entered the league with tremendous potential but faced growing pains. Now, both seem ready to take a massive leap forward, from developing prospects to legitimate forces in the WNBA.
Doesn't want to play sold out crowds at home, and when you're away, you have just a bunch of people that are wearing Fever jerseys. I think that's so important because you know that you always have a family and coming from the fans because they're always going to cheer you on.
What we've seen from Aliyah Boston's interview is a team standing at the edge of something potentially special. The improvements in talent, coaching, and most importantly, confidence have transformed the Fever from a rebuilding squad to one with legitimate playoff aspirations. The way Boston talks about winning isn't speculative anymore. It's expected. When she says they want to win every single game, you can feel that the mentality has changed completely. With Clark's vision, Hull's shooting, Mitchell's scoring, Boston's interior presence, White's tactical knowledge, and the championship experience from the new additions, this Fever team isn't just building for tomorrow, they're coming for today. If you're excited, comment AB and CC down below, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next one.